Definitely when I was younger was when the biggest impact hit. Um, I can't really say I remember my father being around too much in my younger ages due to being locked up in prison. And then as far as that goes, that definitely kind of strained a lot of my experiences growing up, but also with cousins going in and out of jails. I had uncles going in and out of prisons as well. So if it wasn't one thing, it was the other, I'd like to say. There was a lot of people that I kind of got to miss out on a lot of experiences with because they were locked up. So I believe I was around 2 years old when my dad first was arrested and sent to prison, at least within my lifetime. Um, it wasn't until around I was about 8 years old that he was released again. That didn't last too long though. He went back to jail within the next year or so. Um, it definitely impacted how I viewed other people. I found myself jealous of more of children that were able to have both parents around. It was seeing that father-son relationship. It was definitely a fear of missing out, but also it impacted my self-worth a lot. It made me feel like I didn't deserve a relationship like that. I've come to find out that that isn't true. I have multiple, I guess you could say, father-like relationships now with people, but for a long period of time, I was kind of just on my own, doing my own thing. When it came to school, I felt I had to hide a lot of what I was going through. I found early on that if I had told people my dad was arrested or dad wasn't always around, a lot of kids would kind of judge me. Some would more understand where I was coming from due to just similar surroundings. But I found there would be some people who made fun of me because I only had one parent around or it was my grandparents raising me. I didn't have it was a lot of kind of shaming on where I grew up and where I lived and kind of just the living situation I was in. A lot of teachers felt pity for me because of that. And it was something that got on my nerves because it always felt like I was being treated differently. Like I was being treated better in a way. And I'm like, I'm just a normal kid. Like, this is just normal to me. Let me be normal. In my eyes, there's no reason to treat somebody better or a certain way just because of their situation. You can feel bad for them. You can share support for them, but you don't have to sit there and kind of isolate them and treat them like an outlier because then that really makes them feel like an outlier. So when it came to middle school, there was a sense of judgment from a lot of people because my dad wasn't around. And I also had cousins kind of being on and off arrested. I had uncles being on and off arrested as well. There was a lot of people judging me on the fact that my family wasn't normal. They would often tell me like, oh, well, why is all this happening to you? Why aren't you like us, in a sense? It's the very basic way to put it. A lot of people oftentimes would call me poor because of it, and especially because I was in the same living situation. But there was definitely, I wouldn't call it bullying. It was more like a lot of people were putting me down because I didn't have a lot of family around. Family for me, especially with half of my family living in completely different locations to Venice, it was rough because it was always kind of small portions of my family with me at a time. And this, in a way, transitioned to high school, but not so much because by the time high school came around, I had my group of friends that I was comfortable with, that they knew my situation to an extent, so they were understanding of what I was coming from. But trusting people was definitely difficult because of the fact that I had been hazed, I had been put down, I had been told so many things about not having a dad around or not having cousins my age around or, you know, just being surrounded by constant negativity.